Here we're going to start Higimol on the base. That's correct. But Yehuda, Aimer, Leilamai, Falperis. Okay. Thank Hashem that we were able to learn everything. Supposed to be learning, we should have the next English. That's like this. Rabbi Yehuda, Aimer, Leilamai, Falperis. Someone says that he doesn't want to have anything to do with his wife's property. There's no claim on his wife's property. That means that he's like giving up his rights to everything that she's bringing into the marriage. However, if he says, I don't want to have anything to do with the property, then she can sell it, but he can still eat the fruits. If he says, I don't want to have anything to do with the property or the fruits, then he can't eat the fruits either. Rabbi Yehuda says, but he can still eat the pears, the fruits of the fruits. He only disconnected himself a claim to the fruits themselves. We have to see what fruits of the fruits are. But meanwhile, that's the statement. Why would he probably wants to say that he's being very gracious. That you can keep everything. I don't need anything. Yeah, right. I love you. I know what you mean. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Salel Miracle Pears. Tan Rabban was taught in a brisa. Elohim Pears, Velim Pears. And translate the word Elo as which. Which are the fruits and which are the pears? Supposed to these are. Well, let's say she brings into the marriage some property. Property gives off fruits. So Hareim Peres, that would be the fruits of the property. Machar Peres, let's say he sold those fruits. But with the money that he got, he then buys a new property. Basa Peres, and that property produced fruits. Well, Hareim Peres, that would be the fruits of the fruits, and that's what Rabbi is saying, that he would have the rights to. Gemara has a question. The yeshiva has a question. The Rabbi Yehuda question is based on the wording of the Mishnah says that he can eat the peres until he writes that I have no claim on your property, on its fruits, on the fruits of the fruits forever. Ad olam. He has in the words forever. Now, based on that, the fruits of the fruits and everything like all of that. So, all of that, those details, Shiva and the Gemara quotes us has a question. Peres dafka. What's the effective words here? Is it the peres dafka? That's the effective one, or is it oidilma ad olam dafka? Or maybe it's because he said the words forever. Maybe I have to say both. Peres adolam. Maybe that's what's effective. Okay. So if you're able to say peres dafka, that is specifically the peres, that's the effective one. So adolam amali. So why do Rabbi Yehuda have to add in the words adolam? Gemara says hakamash malan. That would be teaching us given the kasav peres command the kasav la adolam dami. But it means to tell me not that he has to say ad olam forever, but when he says peres, it means forever. It's a translation of what he meant. And if we would say that ad olam, that the words forever is what really makes it that effective, so peres lamli. So why do you have to say the fruits? I said, well, for that, hakamashman afagav the kasala peres, that would be telling me that peres is not enough. That even if he wrote peres, fruits of fruits, he in. If he writes forever, then that would be good. He lie, but if he doesn't say forever, then that won't be good. And if it's saying that we need both statements together, make it effective. So yeah, it says pros of the product. That's what it means. Well, if it would have said that the main statement is the words forever, then when it says produce of the produce, that's telling me that produce of the produce is not enough. You have to also add in the word forever. And now if you need produce of the produce forever, if you need both statements, this is a contract law, which words are the effective words. So Tarti Lamali, why would it actually be that? Why would it actually be that you need to have both statements to make this effective? It says shricha. You need both statements. Because of la peris, because of la del if we just say fruits of fruits that he has no claim against, but he doesn't say forever. I would have thought that maybe fruits of fruits he doesn't need. What about fruits of fruits of fruits? If he sold the property, if he sold the fruits of the property, bought a new property, and if that gave fruits, would he be allowed to have a claim against that? Right. So that's why he has to say forever that it's not just fruits of fruits, but that it continues on to fruits of fruits of fruits. Because of la dailam, and if we would just say forever, this is an interesting point. Well, because of la peris, but he doesn't say fruits of fruits. So wouldn't forever mean fruits of fruits? It says no. I would have thought that the original fruits he will not have a claim on forever. And if somehow they preserve these fruits, not just the first year, but even later on in the marriage. So it'd be based on that I love you, but I don't want your money. So maybe the first year, he would say that would be when he was referring to that. But later on, maybe he would accept it. So Adailam would only be talking about forever would mean the first fruit, the initial fruits, he'll never have a claim against even later on. So you have to say no, that the fruits are fruits and forever. Both of them. No, well, the crops are the fruits. Then he takes the crops and he harvests it, and he sells it, and he buys a new property. That property has crops. That's fruits of fruits. He takes the crops from that one and he sells it, and he buys a new property. That's fruits of fruits of fruit. Okay. Let's start in the Gemara.
Crop of the second year on the same land.
Consider the haters, the first one.
Year 5.
Yeah. But nevertheless, I would still have to say Adailam, because maybe I would think that it was only the first fruits. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, Tesis asks on that. Tesis says, why would I make a distinction between the first year and the second year? Well, what were we thinking? Okay. The Gemara now says, Yibailu, Kasav la dinu dvarim, only benechsayach beperi peris. Mashiach peris. So this is interesting. He missed the first step. He said, I have no claim against your property or the fruits of fruits, but he missed saying the fruits. So Mashiach peris can eat the fruits. He only removed himself from the fruits of fruits, but but from the fruits themselves, he still has access to. He has a claim against. Maybe that means that he separated himself from everything. It's obvious that he separated himself from everything. Look at this logic. If it would say that he only separated, he removed himself, any claim, he's given up any claim from the fruits of fruits, but from the fruits themselves, he still has a claim. That means he's eating the fruits. But if he's eating the fruits, so how do you have fruits of fruits if he's consuming the fruits? Well, it must mean that he's removed himself from everything. That's an expression that means everything, because there would be no fruits of fruits there. Gemara says it's not a good logic. Because look at this. Rabbi Yehuda says that he can eat the fruits of the fruits if he doesn't say that he's not going to eat the fruits of the fruits. So then, Kivan Dachlin Leperi, How do you get the fruits of the fruits? Rabbi Yehuda is saying that if the person only says, I have no claim against the fruits, then that means that he can still claim the fruits of the fruits. But how do you get them? If the person, since I guess she would be eating the fruits, where would you get the fruits of the fruits from? So that you would have to say, Ella b'deshaira. We're talking about that she's not eating all the fruits, she's leaving over some of the fruits. And then from what's left over, you get fruits of fruits. Well, if that's the case, then in this case as well, if he has a claim to the fruits of fruits, but maybe if he has a claim to the fruits, so then it could be that he's not eating all of the fruits, he's leaving it over, and then the fruits of fruits are there, which he doesn't have a claim to. So we really don't have a proof for this. We leave this like as a question. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel said that even if the person says that when his wife passes away, he's not going to inherit her, but that's not going to be the halacha because it's going against the Torah. The Torah says that a person does inherit his wife. So even if he says that, it doesn't work. That was Reb Shimon ben Gamliel's statement. Amar Rav halacha Reb Shimon ben Gamliel leimetameh. Rav says halacha like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, but not according to his logic. As I accept his verdict, but not the reasoning. My halacha Reb Shimon ben Gamliel leimetameh. What is Rav referring to when he says this? Maybe what it means to say is that the rule is like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel damar meisi Yerushalayim. Means if the wife passes away, he still inherits her. But we don't follow his logic. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel savar masna mashkasa b'Torah tanai batal. Shimon ben Gamliel says that if someone makes a stipulation that violates a rule of the Torah, the stipulation is nullified. It's worthless. We ignore the stipulation. We just follow the Torah. What he said is nothing. But Rav savar tanai kayim. But Rav, on the other hand, holds that no, a person can stipulate something against the Torah and it actually works. Then why over here does he inherit his wife if he stipulated that he's not going to? Because Rav holds that this is a rabbinic law that a man inherits his wife's property when she passes away. And because of a possible leniency that could be in rabbinic law, the rabbis had to strengthen the rabbinic law even more than the Torah law. In other words, if it would be a Torah law, we would say that a person can stipulate that he doesn't want the Torah law to take effect, and it actually won't take effect. But when it comes to rabbinic law, the rabbis strengthened the rabbinic law because of the possible leniency that it won't take effect. It's even stronger than the Torah law. The Torah law doesn't need to be strengthened. We know what the Torah is. But the rabbinic law, people would say maybe it's not.
You say something like it makes them out.
Right. For that, we said that he had a prior vow that preceded. He has a vow that precedes the Torah law. So for that,
You just don't listen.
you don't listen to it. So here, you're connecting this to Masna Mashakasa B'Torah.
But you're saying
Yeah, the Rabbanan is stronger. According to this logic, the Rabbanan would be stronger. So we're saying Reb Shimon ben Gamliel said that a man inheriting his wife is biblical. The Rav says that a man inheriting his wife is rabbinic. But both of them would agree that you can't stipulate him because of the biblical law and Rav because of the rabbinic law. That's what we're holding right now. No, but it's enough of a logic that the Gemara could play with that. And right. The logic of that Chacham Masachizikli the Remis and Shalter comes from that people maybe would take rabbinic law more lenient, so they had to strengthen it. The Gemara says, "V'savar Rav Tanaikayam." According to this biblical law, according to Rav, the stipulation would take effect. 1 second. But we have a statement. If someone is selling something to his friend, and he says, on condition that you don't come back to me and tell me that I overcharged you. What do you call this? Sale. Yeah. What is it? Price fraud. But when you take off the price fraud, it's like an as-is type of sale where you can't have any. Well, on real estate, you don't really know anything. But sometimes people get these Chinese auctions. They have something that's in a package that's covered. You don't know what you're gonna win. Coming back. Okay. So someone makes the stipulation that on condition that you don't have that claim against me, that there's no price fraud, that you can't claim price fraud against me. So Rav says yesh le'elavana. Even though he stipulated that in the sale, it doesn't matter because the Torah law kicks in, which doesn't allow price fraud. I think it's 1/6 more of the market price. And you can come in and claim it, even though that was clearly stipulated. Why? Because he stipulated something that violates the Torah. Shmuel says, no, the stipulation works. Whatever the case is, we're seeing right now that Rav holds that someone that stipulates something against the Torah, the stipulation is nothing. And that doesn't fit with the way we were just saying. Because Rav said that the looks like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, but not according to his reasoning. So we're trying to figure out what Rav doesn't agree with Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, and we thought that it was regarding a stipulation against the Torah. Well, so we're going to try again. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Rather, Rav says the halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. What does Rav Shimon ben Gamliel say? If someone stipulates something that violates the Torah, then the stipulation is nullified, and the Torah rule kicks in, and overpowers the stipulation. However, but not according to the reasoning of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. The Yilu Rav Shimon ben Gamliel savar meisi yerishana, because Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds that if the wife passes away, then the husband inherits. But Rav savar meisi lo yerishana, and Rav says that if the wife passes away, he does not inherit his wife. The Gemara asks immediately, you got it all wrong. That would mean what just came out was that Rav holds of the reasoning of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, but he disagrees with the law. And it's exactly the opposite. What we're looking for is that he agrees with the law and disagrees with the reasoning. Ella, we have to say like this. Halacha Rav Shimon ben Gamliel damer meisi yerishana. The halacha like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel that says that if she passes away, he inherits her. But not according to the reasoning of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel savar b'deraisa t'nai batal. B'derabbanan t'nai kayim. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds that only by biblical law is the stipulation nothing, but by rabbinic law the stipulation would be effective. In other words, he can stipulate something that would violate rabbinic law. That's what Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds. Rav savar afilu b'derabbanan t'nai batal, and Rav holds that even by rabbinic law you can't stipulate something. So Rav really just takes the logic of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel one step further. What we would mean over here is that he doesn't agree with Rav Shimon ben Gamliel's logic because Rav Shimon ben Gamliel has it limited, and Rav takes it a step further. The Gemara says, Rav Maisifu. He agrees with the logic of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. He just adds on one fine point, that the same thing applies to rabbinic law. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel didn't mention rabbinic law. So that's not saying that he disagrees with the reason of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. He agrees with it. He just adds on one point. Ella, rather, we're going to say it different. Halacha Rav Shimon ben Gamliel damer meisi yerishana. The halacha is like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, that says that if the wife passes away, the husband would still inherit his wife, even though he stipulated that he's not going to. And it doesn't follow the reasoning of Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel savar sabal deraisa. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds that the inheritance of the a husband inheriting his wife's property is biblical law. And anyone that stipulates against a biblical law, Torah law, the stipulation is nullified. Rav holds that the husband inherits the wife according to rabbinic law. The reason why the stipulation doesn't work is because the sages strengthened their laws to be as strong as the Torah laws. And we did this once before. We said this, and we said we had a problem with this. What was our problem? Problem was that we thought before that Rav was arguing with Reb Shimon ben Gamliel about rabbinic law. Originally, we said that Reb Shimon ben Gamliel holds that by biblical law the stipulation is nothing, but by rabbinic law the stipulation works. Rav says it's exactly the opposite. By biblical law the stipulation works. You can stipulate against the biblical law. It's only rabbinic law that they strengthen it even stronger than biblical law. We said, how could that be? Rav clearly holds that by biblical law the stipulation does not work because of the ainah, because of the price fraud. So now we're saying it different. Now we're saying that Rav agrees to Reb Shimon ben Gamliel about biblical law that the stipulation doesn't work. What is the law of a husband inheriting his wife? That's rabbinic law, according to Rav. And the rabbis strengthened their law to be as strong as biblical law. Not stronger than biblical law, but as strong as biblical law. Okay. Well, according to this, would be a machlekes. Shimon ben Gamliel and Rav. Rav holds it's rabbinic law, and Shimon ben Gamliel biblical law. Right. We didn't get into that yet. No. That's going to come up in a moment. It's coming up. Yeah. Okay. Now the Gemara says, "Rav Sav Yush Zabal de Rabbanan." Does Rav hold that the inheritance of the husband of his wife's property is rabbinic law? But we have a Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka says, someone inherits his wife's property. Yachzer lebnei mishpacha yinaklem min adam. To get to the question that we're asking over here, it's going to take us a little bit of back and forth, and then at the end, I'm going to say, "Oh, so you see, we have a question," and then we'll give an answer. But first, we quote Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka as saying that if someone inherits his wife, it returns at the Jubilee year, at the Yovel, to his wife's family. Now and then it says v'yinaklem min adamim, and then they take off from the price. In other words, it returns. They still have to pay for it. It returns to them. They pay for it, but you take off something from the price. It's very unclear what's going on up here. We deliberated on this. We asked, what does Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka hold? If he holds that it's biblical law that the husband inherits his wife, then why does he return it in the Jubilee year? An inheritance, but a biblical strength would not go back in the Jubilee year. That would become his. If he inherited it. That's the idea of the Jubilee year, that it goes back to the inheritance. So here he inherited, so it stays with him. He is the inheritor. It should go to him. That's the concept, is that the property of the ancestral it only lasts 49 years.
Therefore, it's not inheritance.
Right. Then it wouldn't go back. Right.
So anyway, he marries a girl from another tribe. Right. Yeah, she dies. Then leaves her tribe.
Yeah.
Doesn't go back to her.
Doesn't go back to her.
Yeah, produce is the negative product. Doesn't come back.
No. But that's how marriage works. Marriage can shift. Yeah. That's why I think in the first generation, marriage between other tribes. Well, now we have a problem. If it's biblical law, so why are you saying that the property goes back? Be the Rabbanon, and if it's rabbinic law, Damim Maya Vidataya, so why is he paying for it? We said, Yanaka Lahem and Adamim. Takes off from the price. Rama Rab, so Rab explained this. Leilam Kasavi Yerusha Sabal Deraisa. Really, he inherits his wife according to biblical law. We're creating the problem now. We're coming into the question because we didn't get the pshat yet. But the question is now going to be that you told me that the husband inherits his wife according to rabbinic law, and now Rav is saying that it's biblical. But what's the pshat over here with Rabbi Yechon and Breika? We could go in shehirishata ishtai beisakvaris, that his wife, he inherits his wife from his wife, a family cemetery. His wife's family cemetery that she had owned. And Mishum Pagam Mishpacha. And it has to do with a embarrassment to his wife's family that now is going to be buried in some other plots that don't belong to that family. That's embarrassing. You can't bury together with the family. So he's now taken the wife's family's burial through inheritance. So what happens is Amarapanan Lishkal Dame Velahada. So the rabbis say the truth is it really belongs to the husband. But the rabbis say that they force the husband to sell it back to the family, but he does get money for it. This family would be his wife's family. His wife passed away. It's really all his wife's relatives, right? He sells it back. What does it mean? He subtracts from the price to make Keverishtai. He subtracts his wife's burial. Well, this is interesting. Why isn't he being buried together with his wife? I don't know. Apparently, from this, it looks like his wife is going to be buried with her family. He's going to be buried, maybe because he's going to get remarried. I don't know. Otherwise, I would assume that he would be buried together with his wife. No. To buy it back? Yeah, that would be another problem. Then they would be embarrassed. They would have to, right? Yeah, but here we're saying that even if they do have money, maybe he would say, I don't care, I'm not selling it. So they say, no, he has to sell it because today it could be a business. But, well, I don't know about it. Okay. Tanya, we'll start in a brisa. If someone sold his own grave and the path to the grave and the area around the grave for the hesped, for the eulogy, doesn't matter. The family goes and takes the grave anyway, and then they have to pay for it, of course. Okay, but we just we were holding right now is that we have a contradiction in the rulings of Rav. Rav says that a man inherits his wife according to rabbinic law, and then Rav goes ahead and explains Rabbi Yechon ben Breika's statement that the land goes back to the wife's family as because he only inherits his wife according to rabbinic law. I'm sorry, the opposite. Rav says that man inherits his wife according to rabbinic law, and then he goes and explains Rabbi Yechon ben Breika that he inherits his wife according to biblical law. The Gemara says, Rav l'tamei de Rabbi Yechon ben Breika kamar, Rav l'tamei de Rabbi Yechon ben Breika kamar v'leilei svirlin. Not a contradiction. Rav was explaining the opinion of Rabbi Yechon ben Breika, but that doesn't mean that he holds like him. And that's how we resolve this contradiction in Rav. Rav was doing some commentary on another opinion, And so it looked like there was a contradiction, but really that wasn't Rav's opinion. Yeah. We answer. Gemara does that. Answers questions like that. Okay, we have a new Mishnah. Misha Mace. So one that passed away, he left the wife. Wife has a claim to the ksuba, right? She has a claim on the estate. Balchayv, he left a creditor. The creditor also has a claim. He wants his money that he lent this husband. The Yarshim, and there's also inheritors. Inheritors have the claim to the inheritance. Now, this fellow, besides everything that he owes, turns out that other people owe him some money as well. He has a deposit that he's given somewhere else, and he also has a loan that he lent to someone else. Now he's died, and there's a lot of things going on here. There's claims against him, and there's claims, and then maybe they can even claim from those other people to get their money. Well, Reb Tarfon those outside, that outside money, the money that he's lent out and the deposit, that should go to the weakest of the claim. We'll see what that is in the Gemara. Rabbi Kiva says there's no compassion in law. Law is law. You don't give it to the weakest claim. Everything has to go to the inheritors. Because when someone wants to collect from the property of the deceased, from the inheritors, they have to take an oath. Because the inheritors don't know what happened. Was it paid up? Was it not paid up? They don't know all of the ins and outs of that. So you want to claim from the inheritors, from the orphans, you have to swear that the situation is exactly the way you're claiming. But the inheritors don't have to swear; they actually can't swear because they don't know all the ins and outs of it. Let's say there was produce that was already removed from the property. So whoever takes it acquires it. Now, usually, personality is not subject to the claim when it comes to inheritance. It's only real estate that's subject to the claim. So the personality belongs to the inheritors, like 100%. But over here, someone grabbed it. So someone took it. Then it's a different story. Zachsa Isha Yeser Miksubasa. Let's say the woman grabbed these fruits. The Balchayv, the creditor grabbed these fruits. However, they took too much. What do you do with the leftover? So Hamaisar, what do you do with the leftover? You give it to the one with the weakest claim. Rabbi Kiva says there's no compassion in law. Same idea a second time. Everyone needs an oath, but the inheritors don't need an oath. Why did you have those two cases? The Gemara asks on the Mishnah. You're talking about that there's money outside the inheritors because someone else is holding money. Why do you have to give me the two cases of a loan? And you also give me another case of a deposit of something that's being watched by someone else. It's tricha. Ditana milder. If it would just talk about a loan that was lent out before the person passed away, and now the people that are claiming their own debts can go to this person and get it. That's what Reb Tarfon says, that they can claim from the borrower. Because the money is not the original money. When someone lends money to someone else and then he pays it back, he doesn't pay back the same dollar bills that he got. He pays back the same value because the money was lent to be spent. And then there's just like this theoretical amount that needs to be paid back, but it's not the actual items that need to go back. So therefore, they'll say that it's not in the inheritor's possession, that debt. because the actual coins have been spent.
Well, is it actually considered a trade?
This is value. No, this is value. Value. The milva lights on it. Aval pikadan, but when it comes to an actual item of a deposit, the isabene that the deposit actually exists. Maybe would agree to Rabbi Akiva that what we would say like this, that item, I know it happens to be in someone else's house, in the safe deposit, in the safe that the guy has in his house. We know that. But so what? It still belongs to the inheritors. When it comes to a loan, we would say that, look, the money's spent. It's not the inheritors. The inheritors, it's not in their possession, just in someone else's house. It doesn't even exist. Someone has to actually get it from somewhere to make it into existence, to pay it. So we would say that over there, Reb Tarfon would maybe agree to Rabbi Akiva when the item actually exists, that it goes directly to the inheritors. V'itana Baha, if we would only say about the deposit, maybe we would say Baha Kama Rabbi Akiva. That's Rabbi Akiva says that it belongs to the inheritors. Aval Baha, but when it comes to a loan where the money doesn't exist, they would agree to Reb Tarfon that whoever grabs it gets it. That it would go to these other the people that have claims. We have to see both cases. We said that Reb Tarfon said that we should give this money to the weakest claim. Rav Yesi Bar Chanina Melakaishal Shebaraya, the one that has the latest debt, because he cannot take away from properties that were sold before he actually lent the money. He lent this fellow the money, then another person passed away. Now, the person had properties previously, but those were sold off already. So because he has no other place of collecting from, because all his properties were sold before he lent the money, so he should get this money that's coming from outside, because he doesn't have a claim to it. That's the base Bar Chanina's logic or explanation. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Kesubos Isha. Rabbi Yochanan says no. What it means to the weakest, it means actually to the wife's ksuba, mishum china, because of chen. Now, chena means grace. But this means, at least the way Rashi puts it, there's two pshat on there. Rashi puts it that women should want to get married, and so therefore we want to make sure that the ksuba actually comes to them, so that they should agree to get married. So if they know that the ksuba is going to be easy to collect, then that's better for them, and it will be more agreeable to get married. Rashi's pshat. There's another pshat. The Aruch has an interesting pshat that the wife knows that she's going to collect first the ksuba more than she's going to have take priority over other. So she's going to serve her husband more better because she knows that she has more. She gets priority, and that's going to find that she's going to have grace in his eyes. Okay, so it's a good shot. Yeah. So she has money, so she'll be easier for her to get married now. Right. Okay. What are we holding? Right. Right.
It could go both ways.
That's how you sing it. Right.
Before marriage. After
Yeah, he may have just gotten married like the day before he died.
Black Widow.
Okay, and the Gemara says Kitanai is actually a much earlier machlekes Rabbi Yaminam l'kaishel shibaraya v'ukasha, that's acceptable. That it's the one with the latest document, which maybe all the properties were sold off already before this fellow borrowed the money. And Rabbi Lezer, I guess Rabbi Lezer ben Shmuel, Kesubos Daf, that it's referring to the ksuba, and it's because of the grace that we discussed all the different opinions. Okay. Inyach Peir's solution. If he left over fruits that were already harvested and he passed away. So Reb Tarfon says that if someone takes them, they acquire them. And if there's left over, so then who does it go to? It goes to the Kaishal. Rabbi Kiva argues about this, about these leftover fruits. He says, no, Kaishal the weakest. Like who was the weakest? We said that was a machlekes. But Rabbi Kiva starts arguing about these leftover fruits. The Gemara says, Rabbi Kiva, my year, you meiser. Why is Rabbi Kiva arguing about the leftover fruits? Rabbi Kiva would hold that no one can grab anything. That says, you know what? You're right. You're right. Rabbi Kiva was just responding to Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon was talking about the leftovers, so that's what we're talking about. If she took too much, more than her ksuba, or the creditor took more than his debt, so then that's what the discussion. But nevertheless, you're right about Rabbi Akiva would say that he really can't take anything until he makes an oath, which is Rabbi Akiva's rule. Rabbi Akiva tfisa lemahani klal. And according to Rabbi Akiva, you can't take anything. The Gemara is asking this like a question. That's not actually so. If someone grabbed the what's owed to him, like a creditor would grab what's owed to him while the person was still alive, and then he passed away, and then the inheritors try to come and take it out from him after he had already taken what was due to him. So then that we say, no, Rabbi Kiva would agree to that he's actually taking it, because it was taken while the father was still alive. Yeah, Kiva would agree to that. Reb Tarfon that says that if the person passed away and they have these fruits that are already been harvested, so anyone can come and grab it. Where are they actually situated? Well, they're actually in the public domain. But if they're in the side of the public domain, simta is sort of like a bus stop or something. It's the area on the side where people can put their things down. And over there, that's where a person can make a kinyan, like the sidewalk. It's not a hefker area. Well, if it would be in that area, then you wouldn't be able to grab it. Another explanation for that would be is that the possession of the inheritors would immediately take effect, and they would take possession of those items because they were in an area where a kinyan can be effective. A kinyan acquisition can be effective. So immediately at the death of the father, the inheritors would immediately take possession of it, even without grabbing it. It would just automatically become theirs because of the situation where the position of where it is. Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish say no, that even if it's in that area of the simta, which is where a person can make an acquisition, it still would be accessible to the people that wanted to collect. No, it's not a Rosh Hashanah, it's not a Rosh Hashanah, it's somewhere in between. Could be a conflict. You're confusing Hilchos Shabbos, but I don't know. It could be. It's maybe it's just a conflict. Right. Okay, Dun Dayane Kirab Tarfan. The Dayanim paskin like Reb Tarfan. Maybe it means Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Rish Lakish paskin like Reb Tarfan. But Hadri Rish Lakish lived in Minaya. However, Rish Lakish took the property away from them and put it back in there by the inheritors. Amlu Rabbi Yochanan Asisik Shal Taira. Rabbi Yochanan says it looks like you think that that's a Torah law. Now the way it works is like this: that if the court makes a ruling that's not accurate, it doesn't mean that automatically they have to try the case again. It's only in certain cases where they try the case again. And if it's such a blatant mistake, then they have to try the case again. But if it was something that had to do with the machlekes or this, then it doesn't get tried again. Now the fact that Reb Tarfon is ready to retract from the ruling and to change the law sounds like that Rabbi Akiva's ruling is considered the Torah law. Let's say that the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish about this is the machlekes and the following. The question is, we have a Mishnah, which is Rabbi Akiva. And the rule is always like Rabbi Akiva over his friend. Rabbi Akiva argues with his friend. They made a ruling against Rabbi Akiva. That was a mistake. So what happens if you make a mistake in a Mishnah? So there's a machlekes here. Do you retract from the case and you try the case again or not? Rish Lakish says you do, and Rabbi Yochanan says you don't. The Gemara says, "Lie, that's not the case." The Kuli Al Matam B'Davar Mishnah Ches. Everyone holds that if there's a mistake in a Mishnah, you try the case again. Again, the machlekes over here is the following: Mar Sabalacha Rabbi Akiva Mechaber V'Lei Mirabbai. Mar Sabalacha Afilu Mirabbai. Machlekes is Reb Tarfon. Reb Tarfon is Rabbi Akiva's Rebbe, and when it says the halacha like Rabbi Akiva from his, when he argues with a friend, doesn't mean only with a friend and not with the teacher. It doesn't mean even if he argues with his teacher, the halacha like Rabbi Akiva. What does chavera mean? Chavera means one other person. It doesn't mean specifically a contemporary, not a teacher. Iba Yisema. You could say the Kuli Al Malach Rabbi Akiva Mechaber V'Lei Mirabbai. Everyone agrees that it's only from a contemporary that we pass like Rabbi Akiva. No, Rabbi Akiva was a student, but at a certain point he became a colleague, right? So, is Reb Tarfon considered a teacher or a colleague? That's a machlekes. That would be the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish. Everyone agrees that he's his friend. He's a colleague. And the machlekes is what Rabbi Akiva actually meant. Did Rabbi Akiva mean that that's what you should do, like 100%, or did he mean that that's what you should try to do? What was Rabbi Akiva's intent? Was Rabbi Akiva leaning towards that? Matin means to lean, or did he mean that was 100%? In other words, you have to retract. It wasn't done like that. Kreve the Rabbi Yochanan Tafas Para the Yasme Misimta. Rabbi Yochanan had a relative, and the relative apparently had a debt, had a creditor, someone that had just passed away. Well, he saw the person's cow was in the simta, so he ran and he grabbed the cow. Also, Rabbi Yochanan comes to Rabbi Yochanan and says, "Look what I did! I took the cow from the deceased, from the inheritors." He says, "You did well for grabbing it." Also, comes to Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Amalu Zila Hader. Lakish says, "Yeah, I got to give it back." Remember Rabbi Akiva's opinion. Also, Rabbi Yochanan comes back to Rabbi Yochanan. He said, "You told me I did good." Amalahu says, "What do you want from me? I can't. He's my equal, and he passed him differently than me." And the rule would probably be that since he was a relative of Rabbi Yochanan can't rule on this case. And who was the judge on the case? Rish Lakish. He says, "Yeah, he argues. I can't do anything." Who bakra the yasmi? The tafsi tura minei balchayit. It was a person that was a bakra is someone that watches animals, and he's watching the animals of these orphans. The only thing is that the deceased had a creditor that had come and taken away one of the animals. Well, right now, that's what happened. Right now, he took away. This creditor came and took the animal. Yeah. So that's a problem because Rabbi Akiva holds that you're not allowed to take it. Right? Omar, he says, Mechayim tafisnale. I took it while he was still alive. The herdsman, this guy that's watching the animals, says, no, you took it after he passed away. Well, the times, the clocks, the standard time. Right. So, also the Rab Nachman. The Kemter Rab Nachman. Amalei Islach Sade the Tafse. Do you have witnesses that you grabbed it? Amalulav says, no, I don't have witnesses. Amalei Migud Yachlamem Lakocha Biyad Yachlanam Lamem Mechaim Tibislan. You didn't even have to say that you grabbed it. You could have said that it was that you bought it. Migu, that he could have said that he bought it. You can say that when he took it. Gemara says, 1 second. Gemara introduces an issue over here from Rish Lakish, that there are certain things that they wander in the street. If they happen to be in your property, that does not mean that you have a chazak over them. Today it would be cats. Just because it's in your backyard does not mean that it's yours. So what do you mean? But it's been in my backyard for the last 3 days. But that doesn't mean that it's yours. They wandered through properties all over the place. It means nothing. So it's here you have an animal that you say, oh, it's in your property. So you could have said that you bought it. You can't say anything about it because that doesn't mean, just because it's in your possession doesn't mean that it's yours. If someone else has a claim, then it's just the strongest saying that it's yours.
But it says that's a portion.
Right.
That's different than just.
But now we're saying not just in his property, even in his hands. The fact that it's in his hands doesn't mean that only if he would have a claim, only if he has a real claim for it. But why are we giving him any credence? Why are we giving him any credence? Because it's in his property, because it's in his possession. But there's only certain things that we give credence that it's in his possession. In yeshiva, this would be a pencil. This pencil, it's all over the place. Pencils on the floor, at the table. There's no. What do you mean it's mine? Why? I used it all day. This doesn't mean anything. What is that? Okay. Okay. So the Gemara says, Shani Tura the Masir Laraya. That's by all other animals, but not by a cow.
Yeah.
The cow is something that's actually held in it doesn't. You don't just let it wander around. It's a cow. This is an ox. Tura is an ox. India. Right. Okay. The Bein Nasiya Tafas Amsa the Yasmi Masimta. A similar thing happened. The house of the Nasi took a maidservant from orphans, and I guess the maidservant was standing in the Simta, which is the side of the road, and they just took the maidservant. The deceased owed us money, and they took the maid. Yosef Rabavo, the slave woman. Yosef Rabavo, Rav Chanina bar Papi, Rav Yitzchak Nafla, Rabavo, Rav Chanina bar Papi, Rav Yitzchak Nafla were sitting. Yosef Rab Abba Gabayu, and Rab Abba is sitting there. Amru Lahu, or Amar Lahu. They said to them, Shapit Tafsisu, You did well by grabbing it. Amalahu Rababa says to them, Mishum debein nasiyaninu machnafisulu. You're flattering the house of the Nasi. Daini Kurab Tarfin Vahaji Rish Lakish Uvdaminayu. Rish Lakish retracted from such a psak and he gave it back to the orphan. Okay. That's the end of the story. Yemer Bachashu Avimasik Bezusa Bahu Gabra. Yemer Bachashu was a creditor and someone owed him money. Well, Shachiv Shavikarba. The fellow died and he left over a boat. Amalei L'shluchei. So he tells his servant, not a servant, he tells his messenger, a shliach, Zil tafsi nale, go quickly, grab the boat for my loan that I lent him. Azil tafsi, he went and he grabbed the boat. Now, Pogabei Rapapa Rapuna Bey de Rishua. Rapapa and Rapuna Bey de Rishua see this guy. Amalei, they say, you're grabbing the boat, but this boat is owed to other people. You can't do that. There's other people here that are equal creditors, and you can't take it. Well, look at what happens. It's very surprising. This fellow had actually owed Rav Papa money as well, and Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua. And after Rav Papa and Rav Huna Breder Rav Yeshua send this shliach away, the shliach of Rav Yemar Bar Kashu, they send them away. They go and take it for themselves. Well, the weakness that Yemar Bar Kashu had was that he didn't take it himself. He sent the messenger to take it. And the messenger, it doesn't have the rights to it. But if Yemar Bar Kashu himself would come, then he would say, well, I got it first. Well, it doesn't work like that over here. Now, there is a machlekes regarding if he made a mashliach, if he didn't make a mashliach, but Tosfos over here says even if he makes a mashliach, it doesn't work. And it has to do with like this. You have to be able to have acquired it for yourself in order to grab it for someone else. There's a rule of if there's an item of hefker that you pick up, you say, I don't need this, but I'm taking it from someone else. Someone else tries to grab it away from you. It's too late because you were able to take it for yourself, and that other person has already acquired it. You've already acquired it because you were able to take it for yourself. But let's say this is a property that you're not able to take for yourself. It's not hefker. It belongs to the inheritors. But you're taking it for, you know that this fellow had owed your friend money. And you see it there, so you go and you grab it. You say, I'm taking it for the guy that he owes money. So that's a nice gesture to get it. But if someone that he actually owes money for comes first and takes it away from this person, they get it. And it's the one. Right. So because he's taking it, well, here what's happening is the shliach is taking it for the person that sent him. Problem is there is a disadvantage for others right now as he's taking it, that he's taking it away from them. They wanted to collect it. If the person himself would take it, that would be fine. But he can't take it for someone else when it's going to be a disadvantage for others. So Rav Papa, who it was owed money directly, he ends up rowing the boat. He must have pulled it. No, Machlekes in Baba Basra. Actually, Machlekes Rav and Shmuel, I think. You have to pull it a little bit, or if you have to pull it from where it started. So the whole thing in the water, like on the daf. You have to move entirely from its original place, or you just have to move it a little bit. Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. It's all about neighbors and all types of stuff. Sorry? By moving them. They're all gone.
It ended up.
Wow.
So he had a claim.
What?
He had a claim that this is that.
And so what happened over here? Rav Papa Mimlach Mulcha, I think that means that he rowed the boat, I think. I don't know the words Rashi has these words over here. And Rav Yeshua pulled it, I think, with the rope. You're right. You're right. Ashla, I think, means a rope. Ashli. Mar Amar, one of them said, I'm not Kanidal Lakula. One said, I acquired it. Mar Amar, not Kanidal Lakula. I acquired the whole thing. Well, Pagabura Pinchas Parami, or Pinchas Parami meets them. Amalahu, Rabbi Shmuel Damitavai, which is Menachem B'Shas Rabbi. That's only if it's in a public area can you go ahead and acquire it. But remember, even in a Simta, there was a problem. Only if it's in a public area. So Amar Lahu, Amar Lahu, it's probably Amrule, it has to be corrected. They said to him, Ananami micherifus denara tafisna. We took it from the flow of the strong current of the river. That's where we got it from. Also the Kami de Rava. Coming from the Rava, Amar Lahu, Rava says to them, Kaki chivri mishalchi glimi deinchi. Kaki chivri means white geese. Now, I'm a little surprised about this. Rava is the teacher of Rav Papa and Rav Huna Beider Yeshua. The Gemara here is making them look like they're old because they're white geese. It's like they're old, like white beards. But they would be old in the days of Rava. Rava was their teacher. They wouldn't be old. They would have been young. I don't understand.
Oh, which represents wisdom, the lowest states and
Oh.
and then it says, one who sees a goose in a dream can anticipate attaining wisdom. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're old, because they will eventually.
Oh, very good. Okay. Rashi says, Al Shazakanim Hayah.
That's right. That's the
Okay. Maybe Rashi doesn't mean Zakanim, maybe Rashi means it's Chachman. Okay, Mishalchi Glimid Inshi Hachud. What does that mean? That they're taking they're removing clothing off other people. Amar of Nachman, Ushetafse Mechayim. This would only work if they took it while the original original debtor was alive when they took it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Okay. Avimi Brei de Rabavo having maski bezuze bechuzoi. Avimi, the son of Rabavo, was owed money from the house of Chuzoi. Shadrino biad chama Brei de Rabba Baravo Azel Parino. No, not was owed. He owed. I'm sorry. Avimi owed the money.
Just a second, go back just a second. So it's saying at the end there, it's right himself out. Doesn't apply if he's died.
Yeah, after he died, it doesn't apply because of Rabbi Akiva. Akiva says everything goes to the orphans, and then if you want to get it, yeah.
No state sales. Creditors not.
Yeah, they can't just grab it.
Let's say the other two.
Right. Okay. Well, they can go to those other people if the orphans don't have. Then they would have to take an oath. They can't just grab things. Access them. Right. So Avimi owes money, and Shadrino biad Chama Brei de Rabba Bar Avo Ozal Parino. He sends the money in the hands of Chama, the son of Rabba Bar Avo. Well, to go pay it. Amalahu, when he pays it, he tells them Avalishtara. When there's someone owes money, So the lender has a promissory note that he can use to collect. So when after it's paid up, then the borrower gets the note. You give it back to him. You give him the note so that he can't collect anymore. So he says, "Give me the note." Right. So Amrulay, they say to him that he was just a messenger. Sitrainenu. We just took the money. I know we took the money and it was to pay up a debt, but it turns out that we were taking the money for a different debt. We're not giving you the money for the debt that you were coming to pay up. Well, this is for a different debt, for something on the side that there was no note for. It was a Milval pet. It was let's trust. Right. Asalakami de Rabavo. Well, he comes back to Rabavo. Amalei. Rabavo is going to be upset, obviously. He says, Islach Sadi de Paratinu. Do you have witnesses that you paid? Amalei Lai. He says, no, I don't have witnesses. That's the case. They can come and collect the debt again. They still have the note. They could say that you never paid. That's the case. They can also say that it was sitrai, that there was another debt. Okay, now the Gemara says, does Chama Breder Rabavo have to pay Breder Rabba Baravo have to pay Avimi? The messenger that messed up, does he have to pay? Amar Ravashi Chazina. Rashi says, let's see. If when he was sent as a messenger, he said, get the document and then pay Mishalim. But he did it totally wrong. He paid and then he tried to get the document and he couldn't. But if he says pay and then get the document, so lay Mishalim, then he doesn't know the money. But that's not so because Benkach Mishalim. He actually has to pay the money because I sent you to improve my situation, not to my detriment, not to make it worse. Okay. The messenger. Yeah, he paid the debt. He paid it without getting the receipt, without getting the original note. So now the person wants to pay it back. I think that we should have to wait before he pays it back, see if they're gonna come and collect the second time. It's potentially a loss. It doesn't mean that we don't know what they're gonna do. But no, they already claim Citroy that they have another debt. They claim that they have another debt. He would deny that. Okay. There was a woman Dabi Mafkade Gaba Maluga Dishtari. She had a whole file, a whole thing full of documents. Asuk Yarshim Katavalemine. Well, who gave her this file? There was a fellow that asked her to hold this file. He died. And now the inheritors come and say, give us that file that our father put in your possession. Amr lahu, mechayim tevisna lahu. He owed me money. And I took it from him while he was alive. Asalakam de Rav Nachman. Comes to Rav Nachman. Amalei. Amar Allah. Rav Nachman says to her, Islach Sadi Tavo Minach Mechayim. Did he ever claim it back from you while he was alive? And you didn't give it to him? Amalei. She says, no, he never claimed it. Then that means that you never grabbed it when he was alive, because he never even came to get it back. So and that's nothing. You have to give it back. There was a woman that had to take an oath in the Bezdin of Rava. This is like the wife's politics. The Rav Chisda's daughter, who's Rava's wife, says to Rava, she's a liar. Don't trust that lady. I guess she spoke about what cases is going to have in court. So she told him, don't trust that lady. So Apcha Rava L'Shua should connect this. What Rava did was, instead of the lady that was not trusted swear, they had the other one swear about that they didn't owe the money. Zimnin havi yasvi kamei Rav Papa v'Ravada bar Masna. It was one time when Rav Papa and Ravada bar Masna were sitting in front of Rava. Aisu ushtara gabei, and this document comes in front of them. Amalei Rav Papa yadana be the shtara priyo. Rav Papa's comments, he says, I know that this document was paid already. Amalei ikena shachrina ba'adei demar. The Rava says, do you have someone else that knows the same thing as you? So it could be two witnesses. Amalei la, he says, no. Amalei afagav dikamar eidechad lav klumu. He says, I know what you're saying, but one witness is nothing. Amalei Ravada bar Masna comments, Leye Rav Papa kabas Rav Chizda. You don't think that Rav Papa is as good as the daughter of Rav Chizda? The daughter of Rav Chizda tells you that you don't trust the lady, and you were ready to switch the whole case around to make the other person swear instead of the lady. And when Rav Papa says that you can't trust the document, you say that it's nothing. Right. 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 No, it's supposed to be that you're not supposed to be holding a document that's paid already. But Rav Papa is saying that I know that this was paid. I don't know how they got it, but I know that this document was paid. So they would accept that if there would be another witness. Rava would accept it. But Ravada bar Masna is saying, well, you don't trust Rav Papa, you trusted your wife. So Rava says, Rav Chizda Kimli begava, Marli Kimli begava. The daughter of Rav Chizda, I know that she is always honest. Rav Papa, I don't know if he's always honest. It's a student, he probably knows, but he doesn't know 100%. His wife, he knows 100%. Amar Rav Papa Hashdam Amar Kimli begava Milsahi. I didn't realize Kimli begava actually works. Kimli begava means that by me it's trusted, or I've established. By me, I know. And as I have information that maybe wouldn't stand in court, but I know it anyway. That's a Kagain. He says if that's the case, Abba Mar Bari Kimli begava Karana Stara Pume. Abba Mar was the son of Rav Papa. He says he would never lie, and I would trust him 100%. I would rip up a document if he would tell me that it was paid already. Karana Sal Kadaitach. That means you would rip it up. Really? I would weaken it. But I wouldn't tear it up. I would just weaken it and make it that I would need another proof to make sure that it's really acceptable. Well, was a woman that had to swear in the Bezdin of Rabbi Barabaya. Amalahu hahu baldin. They say b'shestaba b'masa. Come and swear in the city, in the center of the town. After the mitzvah maida, maybe over there she'll admit. Amr lahu kasvali zachvasa dechimishtabe yavli. Write the document that says what I'm going to get after I swear. Write the document already now, and then I'll go to the town and you'll hand me the document after I swear. Amr Rabbi Barvaya Kesubos Daf. Write it for her. The problem is that the document's going to be written, they're just not going to hand it until she swears. Now, the problem is that they're writing a document that's not 100% accurate because she didn't swear yet. So it's not really hers. So the document's going to say what's hers, but she has to swear to get it. So there's a little bit of falsehood in this document. Amar of Papi Mishum Da'asisum Mimaloy Amrisum Mili Malaisa. It says because you're a descendant of the house of Eli, that they die young. One shot. Because Abaya was a Kayan, comes from Eli. He lived till age 60 because he had the schus of Torah and Mil's Chasada. So he said because you come from the house of Eli, that's why you say things that are cut off, that are not accurate. This document, this validation of a document that was already written before the witnesses testified about the signatures is invalid. Now you're writing a document before it actually takes place. Alma mechzik shikra. Why? Because it looks like it's false. This should also not be good. Where it says Valesa. But this is not so. Midir Rav Nachman, because of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman, if they find the document in the garbage, a get. They find the get in the garbage, and they signed on it, and he gave it to her. It's kosher. It's divorced. And even the rabbis would agree to this, that a document that was found could be used, except by a divorce document. The being ksiva l'shma. Rav Meir holds, I think Rav Meir holds that you don't need ksiva l'shma. You only need chasima l'shma. It was a machlekes over there. But aval b'shtar shtaris, when it comes to other documents, they would agree that you can use this document. Now, even though the document is false. Why? Because it wasn't written for this loan. But they're just reusing the document. But they're signing on it. Nevertheless, it's going to be good. Rav Yochanan says, that is a document that was used to borrow money, and then it was paid back. You can't borrow it. You can't use this document again for the same $100 to borrow again, because there was a lien that this document had on properties, and that was already gone off when the loan was paid back. So when you use the same document again, that's gonna that you can make it look like the lien on the property is still there. It's not there. It's a new loan. Time with the nimchal shibuda, but that's only because of the lien on the properties. But when it comes to being concerned that it looks false, like Hashina, now we weren't concerned about. Who gavra? There was a person, the Afgid Shav Marganisa, the Tzairi Besedine Beirav Miyasha Bar Bareda Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Oh, we had Rabbi Miyasha, the son of Rabbi Shua ben Levi, grandson of Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Shachav Rabbi Miyasha v'leipak. What happened was like this. Someone had deposited 7 pearls wrapped up in a cloth in the house of Rabbi Miyasha, the grandson of Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Rabbi Miyasha passed away. Right? He has the 7 pearls in his house. But he didn't say before he died suddenly. He didn't say what to do with this. Also, come to Rabami. So he come to Rabami. First of all, I know that Rabbi Miyasha was not wealthy. He never would have had these 7 pearls. And also, the person that's claiming them, I gave a simon. I don't know what simon he gave, maybe that there were 7, or that they were wrapped up. He said that they were wrapped up, both of them, both points. They were wrapped up and that there were 7 inside. This would only work if the person was not frequent in his house. If he was frequent in the house, then it could be that he saw when the person came in and deposited in them, and he's claiming, "Oh yeah, I know what they are." It was really sitting there. There was a person that deposited a silver cup in the house of Chasa. Shachav Chasa. Well, Chasa died. Well, they puck it, and he died suddenly. He didn't say what to do with this cup. Rashi tells us that Chasa actually drowned. I don't remember that. It's the end of Yevamos. Well, it's 4 months ago, 3 months ago. Well, what does it say?
It's in generally.
Right. Well, first of all, I know that Chasa wasn't rich. And the person knew what it was. He knew that it was a cup. Well, okay. This we would only say this if he wasn't frequent in the house. If it was frequent in the house, it could be he saw the person come in. Let's do one more Gemara over here.
What happened?
We say that we give it to the person who claims that it's his. The apkid the taxa. There was a person that had deposited a silk garment. Bei Rav Dimi achva de Rav Safra. In the house of Rav Dimi, the brother of Rav Safra. Well, Shachav Rav Dimi passed away, but like pocket, and he didn't say what to do with this. Asalakami de Rababa. We come to Rababa was the Dayan Amalu Chada the Adana Bei Rav Dimi Delayamet. I know that Rav Dimi wasn't rich. And the person also knew what it was. He gave a sign that it's his. Okay. Should we do one more? The same story. One more. A person that said, Nichsei Letuvia. My possessions should go to Tuvia. Shachar. Well, he passed away. And also Tuvia shows up. Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Hareba Tuvia. Tuvia is here, so very good. Amar Tuvia va'asa Rav Tuvia. Let's say the person said, my possessions should go to Tuvia. And you know who shows up? Rav Tuvia. L'Tuvia Amar, Rav Tuvia lo Yamar. He never said to Rav Tuvia, this is not the right person. The Yinish, the Gaispay, a Gaispay. But if it was a person that was common to him, frequent, so he would call him by his name, so then it could be that it's Rav Tuvia, but he just calls him Tuvia. Asu Shnei Tuvia. Let's say two Tuvias show up. Shachin v'Talmud Chacham. One's a neighbor and one's a Talmud Chacham. Well, Talmud Chacham Kaidim. The Talmud Chacham would come first. Because probably he would want to give it to the Talmud Chacham. That's what we think. Karev the Talmud Chacham, let's say, was a relative in a Talmud Chacham Kaidim. That we think the Talmud Chacham would come first as well. Ibayilu, Shachin v'Karev Mai. What would be if it's a relative and a neighbor? Let me think, my son. Okay, we'll stop right here. Have a good day.